Welcome to another episode of How to Adult with Travis Walker. This episode comes with a very special announcement that was just public earlier this week, and that announcement is that my wife, Amber, is pregnant. She's not only pregnant with one child, though. She's pregnant with two. That's right. We're having twins coming in the spring of 2022. We're very excited, but we're also wondering, what the heck should we be doing? So I brought on the leader of Twin Mom Academy. You should go follow Twin Mom Academy on Instagram and Facebook, and go visit the website as well. Andra came on the show to talk all about what it's like to have twins, what we should be thinking about, the mindsets that we need to change, we need to be aware of, and it's a super informative episode for parents in general, but also if you're concerned about mindset, this is another mindset episode that we need to think about as we are navigating through life. So with all that being said, y'all, make sure that you go follow at HowToAdultTW on Instagram and Facebook. And with all that being said, y'all, let's go learn how to adult. All right, Andra, it's so good to have you here. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me. This will be such a fun discussion. I'm so excited to jump in.
Absolutely. I originally heard you on the Entrepreneurs Only podcast, and so it's super interesting that you responded and were willing to come on my show, and so that's really super duper cool, and how I originally know who you are, and so that's really awesome. Can you start off with just telling me what part of the world that you live in and what you do for work?
I live in Utah and in the United States. And I am the founder and owner of Twin Mom Academy. So I help twin moms be calm and in control while they're raising twins, because let me just tell you, most moms are not calm and in control. And it makes me so sad because we are riddled with anxiety and there's so much stress and overwhelm and major exhaustion. And we miss out on motherhood. We miss out on the magic that it is to be a twin mom. And I'm tired of it. So that is my mission. I want to help moms, twin moms, fully enjoy their motherhood and know that they can create whatever motherhood they want to experience.
Wow, that's incredible. And so when you say that you're helping mothers, how do you do that? Is this through coaching, or do you physically go out and help people? So what does that look like in your business?
I just launched a membership. So it had been one-on-one for a very long time. But I wanted to reach more twin moms. There was only a certain amount of time that I had in the day. So I wanted to reach more moms and help them. And so I've launched a membership, and that's Twin Mom Academy. And so, it's all online. And I do a monthly workshop that I teach them a specific, we dive into a specific topic. And then throughout the month, we have weekly calls that to get that they can then take what they're learning from me and really apply it and come back and ask questions, and I can coach them through it. And then they also have access to a foundation course, a Twin Mom Foundation course that's like a bunch of little videos, because I know that twin moms do not have a ton of time. So I took out all the fluff and just gave them exactly what they needed. And so in that course, it gives them literally the foundation that they need. And then there's the online coaching or community that gives more inspiration, more motivation, more positivity, more encouragement, more help and support. So it's pretty amazing.
That sounds incredible, and something I've been looking into, because this is exclusive news right now, but by the time this podcast is posted, it'll be public that my wife is pregnant for the first time, and she's pregnant for the first time with twins, which has been sort of a doozy for us. So I wanted to bring you on the show to learn a lot about this twin life that we're about to have, and then also just learn a lot. That's my goal. With all of this. And so I'll definitely get her connected into the community, even though she's just pregnant right now. She's not motherhood, yes, but we'll get there.
She's starting now. If we can start with her now, that's when anytime, any phase of motherhood. I love it when they find me, twin moms find me, because it doesn't matter what phase they're in, but I really love it when they're pregnant, because then there's not that drama that, oh, this is so hard. And like, there's still the magic going on for her right now, and I can help her develop those beliefs and those skill sets that she needs once those babies come.
Exactly. That makes a whole lot of sense. And also, just if you're willing to share with us, how many sets of twins do you have? What does your kid situation look like, just so we know?
So my kids, I have one set of twins. They were my first as well. It was a doozy for me. I did not have all of this stuff for me when I had those twins. And so they're now 12 at the time of this recording. They're 12. And then I have a singleton daughter who is 8. So I have identical twin boys and then a singleton daughter.
That's awesome. So all we know right now at the time of this recording is that they're fraternal twins. That's all we know at the moment. And so hopefully we'll know the genders pretty soon. But very exciting times. But I want to get started in this conversation and just ask you, how should people respond when they learn that you're not going to be a parent of one, you're actually going to be a parent of two? So when you get that initial news of, hey, you're not having one, you're having twins, how should we respond? Should we freak out? Should we be calm? Should we start making moves? What should we be doing?
You should have whatever reaction comes at you. Because here's the thing, like, I really am tired of us thinking that we should do anything in parenthood. Like, I call it, we're shooting all over ourselves. We just need to be kind to ourselves, that if you are freaking out, it's okay. And if you are calm, it's okay. Like, whatever, if there's moms that are kind of resentful and disappointed that they are now having twins, because they think that it's going to be so hard, and they hear all the stories of how hard it is to raise twins. And so they're like, oh, I don't get to experience motherhood how I wanted to. And I'm going to have to do the NICU. And there's all this like drama with it. So however it is that you're reacting is fine. It's normal, and that's okay. But what the power that this is, the coaching that I do, is that the reason why you're reacting in a certain way is because of how you're thinking about the situation. So the second that you want to stop freaking out, the second you want to stop being stressed and overwhelmed, you can. Yeah. We just think that it's a default. It just happens at us. And that's not the case. Like, subconsciously we can, and consciously we can change our thoughts so that we have a different reaction. But it's so important for us to know that whatever we experience in parenthood, whatever it is, it's okay. Yeah. But I think that the reason why we don't think it's okay is because we don't have the tools and the skills to change it. And so when we're freaking out, we just think that that's going to be the default. And so then we beat ourselves up about freaking out. And you're like, but just give yourself a minute to breathe and relax. And then we can change if you want to.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And you mentioned this emotion of not being the mother, or not being the parent that you wanted to be, because you're having two instead of one. Where does this stigma come from in terms of how it's different, or how people feel like it's different having one instead of two, or not being able to be the parent that you want to be? Where does that come from?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from us not understanding that we are in control of our parenthood. And so for the last, centuries, when twins have happened, everybody just thinks it's the twins, for lack of a better word, fault that the mother is so stressed and overwhelmed. And yes, there's, the hormones that we have to take into consideration and whatever, and the lack of sleep, because you are more sleep deprived. But so much of our world, we are in control of. You can be sleep deprived and still be calm in situations. And so
Sure.
I think that that's where it comes from, is that twin moms haven't been modeled how to do this. We don't, no one's taught us it. They're 12 years ago when I had my babies, there was no one talking
I
about
bet.
this at all. And so everybody just thinks that it's, how it is. It just is. It is what it is. And so I am here like pushing against the tidal wave of this stigma and helping moms really understand that you don't have to be the status quo for a twin mom. You can be calm and in control, which is what they all tell me whenever I speak to a twin mom, and I'm like, how do you, like, when there's two babies crying, what do you want to feel? And they're like, I just want to feel calm about it. Like, I just want to
Right.
feel like I am in control and I can handle the situation. And that's totally 100% within their power. There's a lot of mental deconstruction and reconstruction that typically needs to happen, but it's all doable, and I think worth the effort. I mean, the regret that so many twin moms have after having their twins and not,
Sure.
like, they literally feel like they've missed out on the first year, they've just survived. And I tell every twin mom, raise your hand if you just got pregnant so that you could just survive. No one does that. No
Right.
one says, let me have babies so that I can just get through it, so I can survive through it. But yet, that is what we're all being told is the norm and has to happen. And I'm
Hmm.
tired of it. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing.
I love that. I love that. You should be able to enjoy that. I mean, every parent, especially my parents, the best years are the first years because you get to build that relationship, and so that definitely makes sense to me, and I can definitely comprehend that as not a father yet. And so both my wife and I, we're both 24 right now. We're both pretty young, and so I want to get kind of your thoughts on how can new parents begin to prepare for having kids, but specifically multiples in our conversation, because that's what I care about, obviously.
Yeah. But
And so how can we prepare?
this transcends to all. It doesn't matter if you're having 1, 3, 2, it doesn't matter how many kids you're having. The best thing I think, to prepare, everybody talks about, the diaper bag and the stroller and the car seats and how to set up the nursery. That crap doesn't matter. Here's the thing. If your mental health is in check, that's how you're going to experience your parenthood.
Right.
So we have to get your mental and emotional health at an optimal level, which is why I love it when moms find me when they're pregnant, because I can help guide them through that before those babies come. And so, understanding that you are the creator of your emotions. Your husband, your partner, your wife, they are not the creators of your emotions. Your kids do not create your emotions. You are the creator of those emotions. And so you get to change them whenever you want to. Knowing that, just that, I mean, podcast listeners, you should see his face.
That's incredible.
You're blown away right now, but
Right.
it is so true. And when we can take ownership of that and not delegate that responsibility to anybody else, because here's the thing, people are terrible at trying to get us to feel a certain way.
Right.
So when you can understand that, it doesn't matter if your babies are in the NICU. It doesn't matter if those babies are preterm. It doesn't matter if you don't get the help and support that you hoped you had. It doesn't, like, all of that doesn't matter, because you get to create your reality. The things outside of us do not cause our experiences. We get to choose how to intentionally think about those experiences. There are so many twin moms whose babies have been in the NICU, and they think that it's like a war zone and it's the worst thing ever. And all I just focused on is the beeps and the breathing and the not being able to touch my babies and all of the negative aspect of it.
Sure.
But you could also choose to be so grateful that they're in a place that is keeping them safe, and you can focus on their facial features and their little hands, and you don't have to, like, I cannot even tell you, I didn't even pay attention to the beeps and the monitors. I paid attention to my babies, and when I could then was able to hold them, and I could pay attention to their breathing. I focused on the things that I wanted to experience and wanted to remember and have it be my experience. And I'm actually really grateful for that, because I didn't have these coaching practices at that time. And I'm so grateful that I was able to do that. But if you weren't able to do that and you have a terrible NICU story, the cool thing about it is we can rewrite that story.
Right.
If they want to. Painful stories we don't have to keep if we don't want to. So I think I went way far for you. I'm sorry, but that's I guess to answer your question is the biggest thing that we have to do before when we are pregnant and becoming a parent is get your mental and emotional health in check.
I love that. I just love your response overall, because you started, and when I was amazed was you were talking about we are empowering creating our emotions. And I think that that's really powerful, not just for parents of multiples, just for people in general. If you have that belief and you claim that power of you're in control of your emotions, I think that's really powerful. And then put that into practice. Very, very powerful. I love that sentiment. Let's see. So I can kind of already tell that you're big on community, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. How important is it to build a community to support you through this pregnancy, especially when it's a multiple?
Okay, I'm glad you asked this, because I actually do have mixed, I probably don't have the same response as you think I do.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Most, if not all, communities out there that I have been a part of, specifically twin communities, it's challenging because so many twin moms don't know the work that I do, and they don't understand that they're the creators of their emotions and that they get to create their experience. It's just, for again, lack of a better word, it's like they just dump out all of their problems in these Facebook groups, and then everybody just piles on, and it's just it's a lot of negativity in this world, and
that's overwhelming.
It really is. And what the challenge that I'm facing is parents feel like if I have somebody that is also doing the same thing, like if somebody else is up all night long with screaming babies, then at least I'm not alone. And I hear that, like, yes, validate where you're at, be heard and seen, but the person that really needs to be heard and seen is you. You need to hear you need to hear what's going on for you. And then but when we are validated and seen by other people, it's like temporary relief. Like, that's why I think everybody does it. It's like a temporary hit of like, oh, I'm not alone. This happens to everybody.
Sure.
But then you have to still go back, get off social media and go back and take care of 2 crying babies.
Right.
It's seriously like just a temporary relief. So, but I get it, because no one else knows what to do. And so the community that you need to find is a community that hears you, validates you, and then gives you the tools and the resources to change your experience if you want to change it. Right. And so yes, I like it when twin moms find other twin moms, but you have to be very careful with their beliefs and their thoughts and their experience, and not take on what you don't want to take on. That you get to be the creator of your parenthood. And if somebody else is experiencing it in a different way, you don't have to experience it the same way that they are. So it's like this, yes, it's nice to hear and be a part of a community, but you got to be really careful what you take on.
Oh, for sure. That
And
definitely makes sense to me.
and I will say there's been so many, like I when I go into those Facebook groups, I always throw out the positivity, right? And I don't ever get nearly as many likes on those posts, but I
Wow.
will get a couple of moms that say finally some positivity in being a parent, a twin parent. Like,
Yeah.
and so there are those moms that do want it and do like don't feel like it's such a terrible thing, but unfortunately the masses are just, they're just really negative about being, how hard it is to be a twin parent. And when you focus
Yeah.
on how hard it is, guess what you're creating for yourself? Hard. You're just
Right.
creating more hard.
Which is no fun. It's no fun for anyone to live a hard life, especially when it's self-inflicted. Right?
Yes.
And so
Yes. But
nobody likes that.
they don't think it's self-inflicted. They think it's the twins, like that's motherhood's fault. And so we
Right.
blame motherhood, which makes it just so much harder to be in motherhood and enjoy it because
Right.
it's this crazy, it's this like hamster wheel that they circle through. And yeah, I'm here to change it for them, for those that want it, that for those that are
Sure.
ready to not have that be their experience, I'm here for you.
I love that. I love that. And I think that's an important note in society in general. You have to want to change to be changed. And so that's a really big deal. And another thing that I've been thinking about in the last couple of weeks with supporting my wife is, when we thought it was just one, a lot of the mothers in our life can support her. And then we found out it was twins, and I was like, well, they don't have the same experience as her now. I mean, having two kids and having one kid, I don't know, is different. And so I've been really adamant about, how can I support her? How can I get somebody that can connect to her story? And so I know some people at work that have had twins, and trying to connect her with people that will have a similar experience as her. Is that like a good model to go upon, or does she need to figure this out on her own? What are your thoughts?
No, I think it's definitely good. Like I said, just be intentional. Like your coworkers, they are going to experience twins in a certain way. And
Right.
you can model that. Like you can take advice and whatever of the things that you like, but leave the stuff that you don't like and yes. So yes, take in different people's perspectives and experiences and whatever, but just then be intentional with how you want to experience it. I think that it's great to hear people's stories, so that you can understand what could possibly happen, like the circumstances, the
Sure.
facts, my twins had twin to twin transfusion syndrome. I had gestational diabetes. Like we had preterm labor. We had there was all sorts of things that happened. And so hearing stories is, I think, a positive thing.
Right.
But then the story's emotional reaction and how they handled their story, we have to be very intentional with not making that mean that we have to experience it the same way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yes, I think it's good, but I also with that caveat, just be intentional with what you take in.
I like that. I think advice receiving in general should have that advice, right? Take the stuff that you do like, and then don't take upon the stuff that you don't like and try to apply it, because you're from the get-go you don't like it. So don't apply it.
Exactly.
So that, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. And this is why one of the big things that I do for twin moms is help them learn how to tap into their motherhood intuition. And you have a fatherhood intuition, and you're going to
Sure.
need to learn how to tap into that. Unfortunately, society has blocked us from that because we think we have to learn everything outside of us, right? Everything has to be, we have to take a sleep training course in order to learn how to sleep train. And we have to get potty training books in order to learn how to potty train. And the cool thing about it is all of that wisdom and guidance is within us. We just are blocking it. And so we need to, that's when you do take on that information and you don't like it, that's your intuition teaching you, hey, we're not going to do it like that. Like your twins need it different. or whatever. So just know that that's the big piece of what happens inside Twin Mom Academy, is helping us know how to parent our way, be authentic for our own children, because my kids are mine. Right. And your kids are yours. The coaching that I do, I don't ever tell twin moms what to do. I guide them so that they can find the answers to their own situations and their own struggles and their own things that are happening in their motherhood.
That totally makes sense. It's an individualized experience, and I think that we've been kind of talking about that from the very beginning, is that this is a very individualized experience, and you have to be aware of that and intentional about that. And so I think that's really good advice. And so I got a question from my wife. My wife's name is Amber, and I said, hey, do you have any questions? And she gave me this question, and so I'm excited to ask this for her. Good. So once the kids come, how do you make sure to divide your time with each of the twins closely, evenly, whatever word we want to put there? But how do we split up our time with each of these kids?
Okay, this is seriously one of the biggest things that twin moms struggle with. And one of my favorite questions to answer.
Wonderful.
Because we have this notion, especially as a singleton person, like we didn't have twin. You're not a twin, right?
No, I'm
Your
not.
wife's not a twin.
No, she's
and I'm not a twin. Like we grow up with this like singleton mind, and the world, society at large is singleton minded, right? Sure. Which means, for those of you who don't know that, that means you've had one child at a time is a singleton mom. And so we think that everything has to be equal. Right. And I believe that instead of equal, our twins need equity. So it's when one twin needs mom, the other twin's fine. Like that twin knows that, like, I really think that they can communicate in ways that we don't even know. But because I'm constantly hearing from twin moms, like I have one that's really needy and one that's just totally chill. And I think the one that's totally chill knows that mom needs, like my twin needs mom right now. I'm fine. I'm going to just chill.
I buy that.
And so I think that instead of like having her stressed out about trying to be equal, just have her focus on equity. Who needs me right now in this moment? And again, her motherhood intuition will guide her for that. Right. Yeah. It's a really cool thing. And I think way too many twin moms stress out about it. They are sharing a freaking womb. Okay. Like they don't need you to be equal. They need equity. From the beginning, they've had to share. They know how to share. Right. Like they're fine even when they come out. It's us moms that think, oh, I'm not paying attention to this one as much. Like you'll know when you'll know what to do.
I love that.
Freaking out about it isn't going to be helpful either.
I love that answer. I think it's a really reasonable answer. And so thank you for that. I think that's really good. And so what when we're in a position where, oh my gosh, both of them need me at the same time, giving this equity answer to when they both need us, what do you think about that then?
So that's when you tap into you're calm. Number one, we need to be calm so that we can tap into our intuition and know which one needs you more. Right?
I like
that. There's going to be a time when it's like, no, you're going to have to sit and cry for a minute because I need to tend to brother or sister or whatever, the other twin. And so, but if you don't remain calm and you freak out, you're not going to know, and you're not going to be able to hear yourself think and focus on the needs of your children. And then you feel terrible after that. Like you feel like you're failing them because they're both crying. No one's getting help. Everybody's freaking out and it's not necessary. Right. And so, yeah, they're both going to cry.
Yeah,
Hands
it's gonna
down, it's
happen.
going to happen. And you're not always going to be there to help. And she's going
Right.
to do it by herself. And there's going to be times where you're going to be by yourself and she's going to be off doing her thing.
Right.
I hope, at least.
Oh, for sure. Well, I got a point. I got a point. Yes, for sure.
So, and in those moments, it's like, okay, I got this. I can handle this. It's okay that they're crying. They're just trying to communicate to me. It's this, the mental chatter, the mindset that you have in those moments are going to help guide you. And if you can practice that ahead of time, which is why I love it when twin moms come to me before they have twins, because if you can practice that ahead of time, you
Yeah.
will be better suited to be able to do that in the heat of the moment.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a few moments ago, we talked about like the singleton mindset, and so most of us are, singleton people, and then we get thrown into the scenario where we have to understand the twin mindset in some ways. What's the main singleton mindset that we have to fight, and then have maybe other singleton thoughts that we have to fight as well. How do we have to approach that?
I really think the biggest one is this whole everything has to be equal. Like,
Okay.
I think that's seriously one of the biggest challenges that they have. And just knowing, I think another thing is just knowing that being a twin mom is different. Like, just
Right.
accepting the fact that it's going to be different. It's going to be different to cuddle them than it is to cuddle a singleton. And it's going to be different to feed them than it is a singleton. And it's a beautiful experience if you let it, if you
Oh yeah.
allow it to be a magical experience for yourself. It really can be. So I think a lot of it is just pushing back on all of your expectations and just allowing what comes your way.
I love that. I love that. That's so good. And so I'm super excited. I've been itching to ask this question because it's the main thing that I've been thinking about. And so let's get into it. I'm sure you're expecting this. How does money factor into this conversation? And what are the major budget items that change with, I mean, we can talk about just having kids in general and especially having twins, but how does money factor into this conversation?
I think that it doesn't matter what your money situation is, because again, that's an outside circumstance.
Right.
You can be calm and in control. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is, how much money you make. Now, I will, with that caveat, I understand that if you make money and you're able to get outside help, somebody that comes in and does the cooking or the cleaning or a night nurse or whatever, I get those extra resources can be helpful to any parent, right?
Right.
But I always want my twin moms and twin parents to understand is that though that outside help just allows you to get relief a little bit from the mental work
Challenge.
the mental work that's necessary. So it's not a make it or break it situation. You can still be calm and in control if you don't have any outside help, if you don't have people that are coming in and doing some of those things. If you can afford it, heck yeah, do it. Right.
Sure.
There's no way I would ever say not to. But it's not the make it or break it factor for if you can enjoy your parenthood or not. It's just not. There are millions of people living in poverty that are not stressed out about their parenthood. And so
Right.
it has nothing to do with money. Now, obviously you're going to need to diapers. If formula is something that is going to have to be purchased, then formula is expensive, wipes are expensive, you need to buy 2 car seats.
Right.
You don't have to buy 2 cribs right away. I didn't. My twins were in the same crib for 5 months, And then they started rolling and kicking each other and waking each other up. And I'm like, that's done. We're not doing that
That's enough.
anymore. Yeah. So, and people might tell you that that's not safe or not okay or whatever. But again, you tap into your own parenthood intuition and
Right.
do what you can with the resources that you have available to you.
Sure, sure. That makes a lot of sense, and I like that a lot. I think that that's really a really good response. And so a common conversation that comes with money is the same conversation of childcare. And so I'm interested on your thoughts in childcare, especially when it comes to twins, because that's like a salary right there. And so, I'm interested in maybe your experience and what you did, or maybe what you see your parent or your moms that you work with, what they do in terms of childcare. Do they stay home? Do they just work and pay for it? What's kind of the situation out there?
So everybody is so different, right?
Right,
Like there are a lot of moms who cannot see themselves being a stay-at-home mom. That's not what they want. They want kids, but they don't want to stay home. And so they choose to have a giant chunk of their salary taken for daycare. And
right,
I'm like, clap that up, do your thing, however it is that you want to do it. There are other moms that are like, you know what? I don't want to, like, all of my paycheck's going to go to the daycare. I might as well just stay at home with my kids. And then they do
right,
that. So again, I would just tap into what you feel is best for you. And I get that a lot of moms, they leave the home for their own mental and emotional health. And
right.
I'm down with that. There are
Yeah,
also moms, if that literally is not your situation, and you cannot do that, your mental and emotional health doesn't have to struggle. We just have to be more active in keeping it in a healthy place. So
right.
it I love all these comments or all these questions, because I'm like, it just depends on your situation and what you
Sure.
want to do. Like you literally get to decide. I love, how to adult, you get to
Yeah,
do it however you want. Like
absolutely.
you just do you.
Absolutely, and that's why we have so many episodes. Is be like everybody's approach to adulting is so different, right? And there's so many different subjects that we have to talk about when we talk about adulting. And so I will accept the it depends answer, because I truly think it depends, and also bringing in the claiming your power and claiming your emotions. I think that that's a portion of the conversation as well. When I talked about money earlier, you mentioned support. And so I wanted to talk about support for a moment. Both Amber and I have very supportive families. And so I'm interested in your thoughts on how do you, as a parent in general, how do you balance that? How do you balance between each family and making sure that they're getting the deserved time with the grandkids, and making sure that that's balanced, and making sure that that's something everybody can be comfortable with?
Well, I think the struggle that, and I already hear your mindset in the question, is that you feel like you are in control of whether they're going to feel like they get their quote unquote fair share. And
Okay.
their expectations and what you guys are willing to give might not match. Like it
Okay.
might not happen. You might have a mom that's like, hey, I want to come over every day and I want to help with the laundry and the cooking and the cleaning. And Amber's like,
Sure.
get your mom out of this house. I love her, but I cannot do this. So
Sure.
it's seriously a matter of you and Amber sitting down and having a very loving, frank conversation with what you feel is best for you two and your twins.
Okay.
And
I like that.
then communicating to family members what you're okay with. So there might be some family members that are like, hey, I'm coming to the hospital and I'm going to be there and I'm doing all the things. And if you and Amber are like, oh, heck no, then you need to, like, in the most loving way, hey, I love you guys. I love how supportive you are of us. And I'm so grateful for your willingness, but it's a no.
Wow.
Like,
Okay.
I'm not okay with you guys coming to the hospital. I will let you know when I am okay with with it. And now the reason why people don't do that is because they don't like the reaction that might come back at them.
Sure.
And the reason why you think that you can control their emotions. And you can't. Remember,
right.
They're in control of their thoughts and their emotions. Because and so it's so vital for you and Amber to set proper boundaries, because especially with twins, there's a lot of people that just want to help and want to, and there's also a lot of people that don't want to help and that you think maybe should be helping. And they're like, oh, I'm not touching that house with a 10-foot pole, you know? And so like, you just have to really, again, be intentional with your boundaries and drop the expectations that you might have for other people, and don't expect them to do anything. They might expect you to, but that's on them. Like we're just going to hand that back to them, that emotional baggage over back.
Right.
Because here's the thing, this is about you and Amber and your twins.
Right.
And everybody else just gets to participate how you're going to be comfortable with it.
Wow. I love that answer, because I think it's reasonable, which I tend to think of myself as a reasonable person. And I think it's reasonable, and I think it also gives the power to the parents, which, probably should be. It should be there. And so I think that's reasonable. And so very good. Very good. I love that advice.
But hold on. But really fast. You got to have that conversation out of place of love and compassion and understanding. Like it's one thing to be like, no, Mom, you're not coming over. It ain't happening. And instead being like, hey, Mom, I know that you want to come over and I love that and I appreciate you, but here's where we're at. And we can't have you come over as often as you want. Right. You got to come at it from a place of love and understanding. And then it won't feel gross and like you're trying to control and manipulate and people.
Right. And if you come from that place of love, I think that what a lot of people struggle with is that they want to respect their parents and they want to continue to have that child and parent relationship, and it feels icky. But you still have that respect if you are approaching it from a place of love. And so I think that makes a lot of sense. And kind of what you're saying is that
absolutely.
Is that
oh, absolutely. I love how you tied that together. It's definitely, you want to respect and honor them as the grandparents, but you have to know that your thoughts and feelings and how you want to experience it matters too. And so you just take all of that into consideration. And take it into consideration. If your mom wants to come over every week or every day, and you're like, we can't do every day, but we could do twice a week or 3 times a week. Like, what is it? Take everybody's into consideration, but then decide.
Absolutely. I love that. And so I want to move back into the conversation of kind of the parents in general. What would you say is the best part of being a parent of multiple? What's the best part about being a parent of a multiple birth?
It is seriously so cool to have 2 babies. It really is. Like, it is so, so fun. Even when they're little, like looking at both of them and you're like, hot dang, I just created 2 humans. And then they start to like look at each other and like notice each other, and that's magic. And then they start talking and like interacting with each other. Wow. And oh my gosh. And then they play with each other, and that's fun. And then they fight with each other, and you're like, oh, there's that part too. Okay. Right. Yeah. But it really, like, at the very, very beginning, it seriously is so much fun.
Yeah.
You can lose sight of that if you're just stressed and overwhelmed and exhausted all the time.
Yeah. And so I love that response, and it makes me really happy, and it makes me like look into the future and be really happy about that. And so I love that response. And so, and another thing that I want to touch on here is that when you look at popular culture, when you look at movies, when you look at whatever you want to say there, twins are supposed to be best friends. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be like telecommunicating and whatnot. And so, is that reality, or is that kind of different, or how do you approach what popular culture says about twins in that aspect, and how they're supposed to interact with each other?
Okay, so they do have every set of twins and every twin mom that I've talked to, they do have like their own little language, especially before they can talk. Like, and my twins finish each other's sentences like it's like one person. Like,
Whoa.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yes. And I actually have on my podcast, Twin Mom Academy, I have 3 episodes coming out because I wanted to know what it was like to be a twin. And so I interviewed my twins and 2 other sets of twins to help us understand what it's like. So if you're curious to know what it's like to be a twin, go over to my podcast. They're coming out in November, I think.
Nice.
November 2021. And anyway, but the notion that they're supposed to be best friends is a tricky one, because we think best friends means that we're never going to fight, we're never going to hit, we're never going to bite each other, we're never going to be mean to each other.
Right.
And I want us to take the pressure off of the fact that they have to be best friends. They can be best friends even when they do all of that. But there can be a time when they're like, no, I do not want to hang out with you. And
right.
Knowing that like they are their own individuals, and then they're combined as twins, and respecting all 3 components is, I think, vital to being able to help them have a good relationship with themselves and a good relationship with each other. And so I think that, yes, everybody, has these cute onesies that say like, born together, best friends forever, and all of these cute sayings. And I get it, but don't be surprised when they're still siblings.
Yeah.
And they still fight, and they still are upset, and they don't want, like, one wants to play sports and one wants to do is more artistic, and like they still are their own little soul. They have their own spirit, they have their own personality. And so we have to honor that, and forcing forcing the best friends upon them might not be in their best interest and healthy. Exactly.
Right. I wish we talked about this a little bit more, but talking about the individualized experience as well. I think that you probably have been, with your twins being a little bit older, and also like in 7th grade, I guess, as 12 years old. 6th grade?
Yep.
Okay, and so they're forming their own friend groups, they're forming their own life, really, and they're really starting off what they want to do in the future. And so how can you foster that as a parent of, you don't have to be in the same friend group, you don't have to do the same things? How do you foster that from the very beginning, and also as they're going through it as preteens?
You talk about it. Like, you literally have conversations about it with them. Hey, you don't have to like the same stuff. You can be your own person. You, like, brother wants to invite a friend over. Do you want to go to a different friend's house? Do you want to play with them? I mean, my twins are more, especially one of them tends to be more introverted. And so he doesn't really care to like go branch out and be his own, like, find friends and stuff. And if his brother goes and plays at somebody else's house, he's totally down, just like hanging out at home.
Right.
And so, but it's this, like, you have to communicate with them about it. The other piece with regards to like friends and what you want to do. And here's the deal. It is so much easier to take both of them to soccer than it is to take one to soccer and one to baseball. Like, way easier. But I want to challenge you as twin parents to not always take the easy route when it comes to their life. Like, you're a twin parent, there's going to be harder things. And if they were siblings, you wouldn't do that. Like, you wouldn't force one sibling to do tennis and the other one doesn't want to do it, but you force them to do it. Like, you wouldn't do that if they were 2 years apart.
Right.
So
Right.
give them the same respect and time and energy as well. Now,
Right.
my twins, they like to do the same stuff. Like, they're identical twin boys. I ask one, I like to ask them separately what they want, and it blows my freaking mind that it's always the same. Like, hey,
I like that.
do you want to play tennis? I just found a tennis club that you can go be a part of. Yeah, I want to do that. And then I go downstairs to his brother. Hey, I'm curious if you're interested in playing tennis. I just found a tennis club. If you're interested, I can sign you up. And they both say yes.
And
Like,
you don't put that pressure of, hey, your brother already said yes. I like that portion of it.
yeah, yeah. So
I love that.
So you definitely need to be talking and open and communicating all of this with them, because it is different. They're having a different experience than all of their friends. The other thing that I like to do is talk to their friends' parents, because I get conversations all the time. Hey, can Austin and Riley come over? And I'm like, well, Austin's the one in your kid's class. Riley doesn't have to come with him. If he doesn't want, like, if your son doesn't want Austin there, they don't have to, they're not always combined. And so I have had it where moms are like, oh, I didn't realize that. Like, let me have a conversation with my son, and, oh yeah, we want just this kid at the birthday party. And then I always, always, always follow up with the kid that doesn't get invited, and just know that, hey, you have your own experiences. What is it that you want to go and do that's fun? Like, your brother gets to go do something that's fun. What do you want to go and do that's fun? So we're really trying to let them have their own experience, but then again, honor that they're twins.
I love that. I hadn't even considered that. Like, because it's our singleton mindset, right? If we invite one twin, we obviously have to invite the other, but that's not always the case. And so you have to train the people around you of like, hey, you don't have to invite both. That's really interesting. Something I hadn't considered before. And so with your experience with interviewing twins, your own twins and other twins as well, do they feel like they have to be friends or be part of the same friend groups, or do they constantly have to be reminded of, hey, no, you don't have to do that?
They definitely need to be reminded, because there's such a connection. They're just so connected that they definitely need to be reminded. And I think that we do them a disservice when we don't remind them and help them through that. They sometimes feel bad and feel like I'm not, inviting my twin with me. And they have to know that they're not going to be together forever in these types of situations, right? So one might go to a different college, one is going to get married. Like, there's things out that they need to know that is outside of their twinship, but yet we need to honor that as well. And so, yes, we definitely are constantly bringing it up. Another thing that singleton parents don't really take into consideration is whether they are going to be in the same class or not. And that's a huge decision. I think it's a big decision. And I feel like all too often we make that decision from a place of like trying to control our kids and their experience instead of what is best for my children. And so if it's such an interesting conversation to have with a twin mom. Like, the reason why she was going to put them in class together is because she feels like one twin needs the other. Well, do you feel like that's a good enough reason?
Right.
Like, what could be the benefits of them not being in the same class, and how could that help the twin? Yeah, it's going to be hard, but here's the thing, it's going to be hard either way.
Right.
Whether they're in the same class, it's going to be hard, and when they're not in the same class, it's going to be hard. And so what experiences do your twins need? And again, you have to tap into your motherhood intuition.
Right. And so I'm interested in what call you made. Did you allow them to develop individually, or did you have them together and kind of develop as a squad?
So I wanted them to be able to, I felt like they needed to be their own individual person.
Right.
So from preschool, they've always been in separate classes every single year. Even when I had to, at one point, there was only one kindergarten teacher. So I would take one and drop him off, and then I would pick him up, and then and then it's like 30 minutes. She has like a 30-minute break for lunch. And then I would take
Yeah.
the other one and pick him up. So I was going to the
Wow.
school 4 times, double than what I could have, other people choose to do, because, and so many parents are like, why don't you just take them at the same time? Like, why are you doing that? And I just down in my core, I'm like, I know that they need that time and space away from each other. In my mind, they're with each other so much that
Right.
for me, distance makes the heart grow fonder. And so they
Yeah.
needed a little bit of time away. And I knew that there was one that would rely on his brother too much
Mm.
and not break out of his shell if he had that safety net, that security all the time. And so, and I felt like breaking that at a younger age would be easier than breaking it as a teenager or an adult.
Right.
Some twins
Right.
never break it, and they still are with each other all the time. And so I just, that's how I did it. And my way isn't the best way for your twins.
Sure.
Like, that's why I love the coaching that I do, is I like help moms understand their mindset and what they're thinking. And then if they like their reasons for thinking that way, and helping them see that there's a different way of thinking about it if they want to.
Right, right. That's so interesting. And so are schools pretty open for that kind of preference? Because I'm a teacher, and I don't always see schools, take parent preferences all the time. So I'm interested, are schools pretty open to that kind of decision?
Mine was, I think it just depends on the school. I mean, I had just a frank conversation with the principal, and I just said, I
Right.
don't care. I care less who their teachers are. I just care that they have separate. And that's what our school does. You can either like ask what teacher, or you could ask like what time block or whatever. Like, you got to
Okay.
pick a certain preference, like, and they would do their best to
Right.
accommodate, and I just said, my twins just need to be in separate classes. Like, I don't care what teachers they have. We will deal with whatever teacher drama. You don't get to pick your boss all the time. So we will just deal with whatever teacher you
Sure.
have. But, and some moms are hearing this and being like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you do it that way? And I followed my intuition, and that's what I knew I needed to do. And so you can judge me and think what you want, but I'm doing what I know is best for my twins. And your way doesn't have to be the same as mine. You do you.
Right. I love that. I love that. That's advice, really good advice. Always do you, y'all. Always do you. And so, last question before we get into the closing questions of the show is, what is the biggest challenge of being a parent of a multiple?
Depends on the phase. Here's the thing.
What's your favorite challenge? Your favorite challenge?
Okay, let me just say this really fast. Everybody always will tell you it gets easier. Every parent will tell you it gets easier. And I push against that. I think they're telling you that so that you keep hope in your life, like that you see the light at the end of the tunnel eventually. And I want to just say, no, it's just a different hard. Like, it's so hard to have twins up in the middle of the night several times in the middle of the night. And
Sure.
then it's hard having toddlers that are running around all the time, and you're exhausted because they're getting into everything. And then it's
Right.
hard when they go to school and they're being bullied,
Oh.
and then it's hard when they're teenagers, right? It's just a different hard. There's just different phases. And so, the challenge, I think, honestly, overall, like the overarching challenge for twins is helping them love themselves and be true to themselves and have the confidence in themselves so that they're not always fighting against each other as twins. Like that
Right.
they have such a deep love and confidence in themselves that it's okay if brother got the trophy. It's okay that brother got the highlight this time. I'll get it next time. Like there's always plenty to go around. And I think that even as toddlers, like that's the challenge, that if you really distill it down as to why they're fighting, it's because they need their needs met. They want their needs to be met. And so I think that's the biggest overarching, but that's for every parent, literally. Sure. Like that's parenting in general with all of your kids. You want them to instill that self-love and that self-confidence that they can handle anything that comes their way, because as parents, we want to protect them as much as we can. And we want them to not have any negative emotions. And that's a fallacy. It's just not.
Sure.
We need to be allowing them to have experiences that are hard and challenging so that they can know how to handle that when they're adults. Right. So I think that in a nutshell, it's that the biggest challenge is to get them to love themselves and have that self-confidence.
I love that. I think that's great advice. Well, I'm excited. Let's get into the closing questions of the show. My first closing question is just that final piece of advice to a parent out there that's about to have a multiple. What is your final piece of advice for those people?
I mean, it's what we've been touching on this whole time. You be you and tap into your own parenthood intuition. Know that you get to create your life. You get to create your parenthood. You've created your life up until this point. You get to create it even when there's toddlers that are throwing tantrums and it's only 7 a.m. Like right. It doesn't matter where you're going through. So, or what is happening outside of you, you still get to be in control of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Those are the three things that we are 100% control of every single time. It doesn't matter how hard, challenging the struggle, that what people are doing to you, saying to you, acting at you, like it doesn't matter what's happening. You're always in control of those three things.
I love that. That's awesome. And so another closing question that I have is, as an adult, what's something that you're still trying to figure out? What's something that you're still developing in?
I think I'm still developing in my self-confidence, right? I mean, I would say that there's a high level of confidence there, but there's also things that I'm trying to grow and become and aspire to. And I think that life is a journey, and we're always just growing and evolving to the next level of ourselves and living out the purpose that we feel called to do inside of us. And so I think that's the biggest one. If everybody had self-confidence, honestly, like we would be a much kinder, compassionate, caring society. And so I think that just everybody growing that would be incredible.
Awesome. I completely agree. And so my last closing question of the show is, where can people learn more about you, Twin Mom Academy? This all your shameless plugs, all of them. Throw them all at us. Where can we find more about you?
Just Twin Mom Academy on Instagram, Facebook, and online. My website's twinmomacademy.com. Everything is Twin Mom Academy. Come find me. I would love to share the wisdom, share the love. I'm constantly helping and supporting twin moms.
Awesome. I love the brand consistency. That's really good. So with all that being said, y'all, go follow at Twin Mom Academy. Go look at the website. Also, go follow my pages. Go follow at HowToAdultTW on Instagram and Facebook. And share this episode with a parent that you love, a parent that needs to hear this. With all that being said, y'all, we are going to learn how to adult together.